My brothers and sisters, what is going on? Steel Sermon in the house. Late Monday night, early Tuesday morning, whatever you want to call it. And these are my Week 12 picks, 2022 NFL season. I am back on track, folks. A great week for me. Again, 10-4 on the week for Week 11. Kind of got off to a bit of a rocky start with an 0-2 start, but, taking 10 out of my last 12 after that, that's always big. That's always real good. And looking to capitalize off of that, man. So just another really good week for me as I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, these are week 12. And before I get into the biggest winner and the biggest loser for week 11, first of all, I just want to say this. So the people in the tournament, I don't mean to sound so bossy, but if you guys could at least get your Thanksgiving Day picks out by the kickoff of the first Thanksgiving game in Detroit, I would greatly appreciate that because I'm a real big wrecking ball when it comes to Thanksgiving. Like, I'm all over the place with my family, and, I don't really have a whole lot of time to check everyone's picks. So if you could all get your Thanksgiving picks at least your Thanksgiving Day picks. The rest I can handle over the weekend. But if you could get your Thanksgiving Day picks by kickoff of the first game, I would greatly appreciate that. But yeah, so that'll do it for that. And now I'm going to step on in. These are my biggest winners and biggest losers of week 12 or week 11 rather. So my biggest winner. This one took me a little bit to think about because, honestly, you could kind of make a case for any team this week, but I'm going to give it to the Dallas Cowboys this week. They go from the biggest loser last week to the biggest winner this week, and I do mean the biggest winner. 40-3. 40-3 over the Minnesota Vikings in Minneapolis. And that was a game I originally had the Vikings winning. But I switched Saturday night to Dallas, and man, it paid dividends right there. Because I was thinking, you know what? I can't really trust Kirk Cousins 100% against good teams. He never has a good reputation against that, and he never plays Dallas well. So I switched to Dallas in that one, actually, and let's just say it worked out well for me. Cowboys did incredibly well in the game. Tony Pollard went off. Dallas defense got 7 sacks, I think, on Kirk Cousins. And Dak Prescott had a phenomenal game as well. Cowboys are right in the swing of things in the NFC East, and they are looking real good right now. So the Dallas Cowboys, statement win right there over a really good Vikings team. They're my biggest winner for Week 11. Hate to say it, biggest loser for Week 11, us. That's right, I'm putting in my team for the biggest loser. Not due to the fact that we lost, but the way we lost. The second half that we had was one of the worst second halves I've ever seen from this team. Completely stopping your second half, letting backups gash you. Very just head-scratching play calls like the flea flicker it we had. And then obviously the 3rd and 25 draw play, not even caring to make any adjustments in the second half. And we're now sitting at 3-7 because of that. And Mike Tomlin continues with being the defensive-minded coach that he is, continuing to not put Arthur Millette in the slot, continuing to not make Terrell Edmonds a box safety, and he's putting him on one-on-one. What did you think was going to happen against T. Higgins, Hayden Hurst? And I guess you can say their 6th wide receiver now. So, yeah, man. For the first time this year, I'm saying that my team were the biggest losers for the week. And they rightfully earned it. Biggest loser for Week 11, the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that'll do it for my biggest winner and biggest loser for week 11. As I just want to say once again, if you could get your Thanksgiving Day picks out by the opening kickoff of the first game, I'd really appreciate it. And remember the new rules. You only need score predictions for spread picks now. No bye weeks this week. For the first time, I think, since week 5, if I'm not mistaken. We got no teams on the bye this week. So got all 16 games coming up. So let's not waste any time, and let's just get right on to it for week 12. Alrighty, as always, we got our Thanksgiving Day slate of games. And as always, we got the Detroit Lions heading home to face the Buffalo Bills, who are already in Detroit because their game against the Cleveland Browns was moved to Detroit because of all the snow in Buffalo. So honestly, the Bills are at a big advantage in this game, in my opinion, despite the fact this is Detroit, this is the Lions Stadium. The Bills are at a big advantage in this game. They don't have to leave Detroit until this game's over, obviously. But yeah, the Bills getting it done over the Browns. They looked real sloppy in the first half, but then Sean McDermott making adjustments, and Buffalo comes away and gets the job done. Right as soon as they got Stephon Diggs involved, you knew that the Bills were going to turn it around. I think they just need to get that guy involved as much as they can. But yeah, Buffalo getting it done once again over the Cleveland Browns, and they are still a little wobbly in my opinion, but I still think that they're really good in that real tough AFC East. But yeah, the Bills, they're playing some real good football, and so are the Detroit Lions. They have quietly won 3 straight games, and they took it to the Giants this past Sunday. I think it was 31-16. Wow, Detroit just waxed them. They just whacked them on Sunday, man. Did not see that coming at all. But yeah, the Lions, all year it's been Detroit's defense that's been the Achilles heel for them. But not so much right now. Detroit's been playing way better on defense lately. And we all know that their offense can score points. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown coming back, that's obviously a big shot of confidence for Detroit right there. But they're getting it done with defense now. So I really think the Lions have a legit shot at turning their season around. They really do have that capability right now. But, as well as Detroit is playing right now, I don't know. This is just a real tough game for them because they're heading home, playing the Bills, who already played in Detroit, and now they just have to stay there and practice for this team. That's a big disadvantage for the Lions, despite the fact that they're the real home team for this one. So, I don't know. I just don't know if I'm ready to fully trust Detroit just yet. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills to play it safe, but I would not be surprised at all if the Lions won. I do think Detroit can make this a really good game, honestly. But I just think the Bills are just more experienced, and I just think that they're the better overall team in this one. I'm going to go Buffalo to win a tough one over Detroit on Thanksgiving afternoon, where the turkey's being cooked and my stomach's rumbling and my grandma's making her world-famous stuffing. Man, I'm getting hungry just thinking about it, man. But yeah, I got the Bills getting the job done over Detroit. Then, while everyone's eating dinner probably, or getting seconds, we got the New York Giants heading to Dallas to play the Cowboys. As the Giants, as I just said, a 31-16 loss at home to the Lions. The Giants are really banged up, man. That was a real bad time for them to get injured because they still have to play the Division 5 more times. They've only played the NFC East once, and it was the Dallas game, the first time they played Dallas on Monday Night Football early in the season. And now they play them again on Thanksgiving, and they're banged up in this one. Daniel Jones did not have a good game. Lions stuffed Saquon Barkley in that game. Giants, if I'm a Giant fan, I would be concerned about them heading into this one. It's a short week for them, too, and they're not healthy. The Dallas Cowboys, they are playing great football. As I said, absolutely blew the doors off Minnesota 40-3. Got it done with offense and defense in that one. Dallas is just clicking on all cylinders right now. And honestly, in my opinion, the Cowboys look like that they're one of the top seeds in the NFC, even though they don't lead the NFC East. Yeah, Cowboys are just playing great football right now. My biggest concern for this one, aside from the injuries that the Giants are facing, are they going to be able to stop Tony Pollard? Tony Pollard has been the biggest X factor for Dallas in this season so far, and I feel like that people are going to have to start putting some respect on his name. You know, we all know that the Cowboys have a great passing attack with their weapons at wide receiver, but it's time to start giving credit where credit's due, and Tony Pollard is just such a great player for him right now. And the Cowboys are just a great defensive team as well. I'll even go as far as say they're the best defensive team in the league. Opportunistic turnovers, limiting opponents as much as they can, and they will beat you on. They will smack you right in the face, and they will beat you up as if they don't need to beat up the Giants any further, but I digress. But another big question I'm facing, can I fully trust the Giants to win against a team of this caliber? Right now, I'm saying no, I don't. I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys in this one to improve to 8-3. I do think the Giants can make it a good game, you know, with Saquon Barkley. But again, I mean, it's just the Cowboys. They just know how to stop the run right there with a guy like Micah Parsons. And I just think that with Saquon just basically being a non-factor in all the times that he's played Dallas in his career, I just don't see how the Giants are going to be able to overcome all those injuries. And, you know, with me, the Giants, it seems like that they have to win the turnover battle, and they're not a team that's capable of overcoming being down 3 turnovers, you know. So I'm going to go with Dallas on this one. Give me the Cowboys to complete the sweep of the Giants. And then when you're probably passed out on the couch, which I will probably be, you know, we got a Thursday night football on Thanksgiving night as the New England Patriots take on the Minnesota Vikings in Minneapolis. In many respects, this could honestly be a very interesting game. The Patriots are 6-4, getting it done over, guess who? The New York Jets for the 14th consecutive time. Yeah, that's right. They sweep the Jets again. They have not lost to the Jets since 2015. That is absolutely mind-blowing. So yeah, the Patriots are 6-4. They are third place in the AFC East, and they are not necessarily out of this just yet. That defense they got right now is playing incredibly well. It just seems like ever since that Bears game where they got blown out by the Bears on Monday Night Football a couple weeks ago, Patriots have really turned their defense around. And, you know, I hate to say it, but New England, if their defense can perform at a facet like this, they can be a dark horse team in the playoffs. That being said, offense needs a little bit more work. I don't think Mac Jones is the guy. I think that he's just a check down, a glorified check down master and a game manager at best. I don't think he's a franchise quarterback. I think that, you know, at some point the Patriots are going to have to find his replacement. I'm just not a fan of how Mac Jones plays. So that's the Patriots for you. Minnesota, never change Vikings, never change. There's a reason I switched my pick from the Vikings to the Cowboys, and it's that I just don't completely trust Minnesota when it comes to good games. They are a team that is historically snake bitten when it comes to playing big opponents. And I know the Cowboys tend to struggle on the road against NFC North teams, but the Vikings are just a different kind of team when it comes to that. It seems like the Vikings can win the early afternoon games on Sunday. The later Sunday games they struggle with, but they are absolutely terrible when it comes to primetime. Kirk Cousins has always had that reputation of not being a primetime quarterback, let alone against winning teams. And New England just happens to be over 500. I think if the I still think the Vikings are going to win the NFC North just because the NFC North is incredibly weak this season. But here's the thing, like if the Vikings can't win these games that they absolutely need to win against stiff competition, they're not a true contender. They're just the beneficiary of a weak division. That's all there is to it with that. That win against Buffalo was very impressive. I'm not taking anything away from that. But when you go, from my opinion, the biggest winner of the week to getting your doors blown off at home in front of your fans by 37 points, that to me shows that they have not broken out of that funk with being able to beat good teams. And it's going to stay that way for Kirk Cousins until he proves me otherwise. So with this one, Vikings are favored in this one. Well, guys, I got a treat for you on Thanksgiving night. Upset of the week. I'm going with the New England Patriots to pull off the upset here. I think that New England is playing incredibly well on defense right now. Minnesota, this game is just a huge trap game for the Vikings, in my opinion. It really is. Their offense, it seems like their kryptonite is strong defensive teams. We saw that against Dallas, and now we can see it against New England. This is a huge trap game for the Vikings, and I think they fall for it. I'm going with the New England Patriots to get the job done over the Vikings. I got New England's defense stepping up here. I got them doing just enough on offense to get the job done. And honestly, I just, until the Vikings beat a team with Kirk Cousins, not named the Chicago Bears, in primetime, I'm going to pick against them every single time. I'm going with the New England Patriots to upset the Vikings on Thanksgiving night. Coming now down to the Sunday slate of games. Kicking things off, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers heading to Cleveland to play the Browns, as the Bucs, I believe, are coming off their bye, but they're 5-5. They last won in Germany, if I'm not mistaken, over the Seattle Seahawks, a game in which the Bucs pretty much dominated Seattle in that one. And the Seahawks, they just really had no answer for Tampa Bay. So the Bucs are coming off their bye, and we all know Tom Brady can do very well coming off his bye week. And it seemed like that he was really distracted with the divorce, and he was really just not himself when it came to that. It seems like he's starting to turn around a little bit, but still, I maintain that Brady should have just stayed retired. Because, not even so much because of the divorce and him just not being a family man in the end. It's just the fact, what does he have left to prove? Seriously, what? If the Bucs win the Super Bowl this year, what will it prove? What, that Brady can win a Super Bowl at age 45? Okay, cool. He'd have won it 7 other times. He's broken pretty much every single record possible that a quarterback can have, that pretty much any other player can have. What does he have left to prove? For real. It won't make a bit of difference if the Bucs win the Super Bowl to me. Anyway, you got the Cleveland Browns coming off a loss to the Bills in Detroit over this past weekend. The Browns hung in there with Buffalo in the first half. They were stopping the run. They were making Josh Allen make some questionable decisions. They were limiting the Bills, and the Browns were running the ball efficiently, and they were beating Buffalo, and then the second half came, and it looked like I'm watching a completely different Browns team. Sound like another team from the AFC North from this past week? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Anyway, the Browns, they're sitting at 3-7. Again, kind of like another team from the AFC North. Browns are just not a good team. Honestly, I don't think Deshaun Watson can save this team right now, because it just seems like nothing the Browns can do is ever right. It never is. Joe Woods needs to be gone. Stefanski's starting to get the heat over here. And this Browns team just has a lot of problems to overcome here. Literally, the only way that I see anyone on that coaching staff staying is that if the Browns, what are they, 3? So they got 7 games left. The only way that I see anybody from that coaching staff stay is that if in these last 7 games the Browns win like 5 out of 7 or 6 out of 7, they go on some kind of crazy run to close out the year. And I don't think that's going to happen. So the Browns are 3-7, going up against Tom Brady at home. I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Bucs to get the job done over Cleveland. I do think the Browns can make it a little bit close because, I think that Tampa's going to be kind of caught off guard with Nick Chubb a little bit. And we all know that's the Browns' bread and butter. But Tampa Bay just has a really solid defense. And I think that will be more than enough to get past the likes of Jacoby Brissett. I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Bucs to get the job done over the Browns. Then we got the Cincinnati Bengals heading on down to Nashville to play the Tennessee Titans, as the Bengals coming off a 37-30 win over yours truly, as they did not play well in the first half. Second half comes, Joe Burrow lights us up, backups light us up. Burrow throws for 350 on us, and the Bengals walk out with a 37-30 win over the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they are 6-4, still very much alive in the playoff race in the AFC. Tennessee is 7-3, coming off a dominant win over the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau. So, wow, the Titans closed out a game for once. Yeah, I've been saying all season, and pretty much most of last year as well, the one thing that holds me back from calling Tennessee a true contender is that they never truly know how to close out a game. And last Thursday night in Lambeau, that's exactly what they did. They closed out the Green Bay Packers. They dominated them early. Packers made it a little bit close in the fourth quarter, but Titans got a touchdown to put the game away, and that sealed Green Bay's fate. Tennessee got a well-deserved win over the Packers, and they're sitting at 7-3. This could be a very good game. It really could. Potential game of the week, honestly. I think in order for Tennessee to come away with this one, you got to take advantage of the fact that the Bengals could still be without some of their starters. I think Hendrickson got roughed up a little bit, and I think that I don't know if I can fully trust that rush defense going up against Derrick Henry. So definitely get Derrick Henry involved right there, and the Titans need to use their wide receiver tandem as well. As for the Bengals, Joe Mixon, I don't know the story with him. He was being evaluated for a concussion, but we'll see as time goes. But, Jamar Chase could be coming back for this one, so that's obviously a big, sigh of relief right there for Bengal fans. But, Burrow still has T. Higgins, he still has Hayden Hurst, and he still has Tyler Boyd at his disposal. So Bengals defense played real well, and I just don't know if, a guy like Ryan Tannehill or, God forbid, Malik Willis is just ready to go up against a physical defense like that can get to the quarterback, a couple of times a game and cause a lot of pressure. So, honestly, this could either be like a mid-20s to low-20s type of game, or it could be a low-scoring defensive game like it was in the playoffs when these two teams met in the playoffs last year. And I think that's exactly what it's going to be. I think it's going to come down to who blinks first on defense. I don't see a lot of points being put on the board for this one. I think this is going to be a defensive game. Good old-fashioned, defensive football. I mean, after all, these two used to be division rivals. Back when the Titans were the Houston Oilers, back in the 80s and 90s, when the Steelers, Browns, Bengals, and Oilers were all in the same division. There was some pretty nasty AFC Central football back then. And I think the biggest X factor for me in this one, I have to say, Joe Burrow just seems to play the Titans very well. He's 2-0 in his career against Tennessee, and he pretty much lit up the Titans in both games. And until that trend breaks, I'm going to go with the Bengals to beat the Titans again. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people aren't respecting the Titans, and I'm not disrespecting Tennessee. I'm not. It's just that I think the Bengals have a little bit more going for them in this game than the Titans do, and Joe Burrow has Tennessee's number. So altogether, I just think the Bengals are just the hotter team coming into this one. And, Even though Tennessee did close out Green Bay, it doesn't exclude them from the fact that they still struggle to close out games, and I think that's what's going to be the difference here. I got the Bengals going down to Nashville, getting the job done over the Titans. Then we got probably the easiest one of the week. We got the Houston Texans going down to Miami to play the Dolphins. Do I even need to say more? Block of the week right here. Dolphins in an absolute blowout. Miami, in my opinion, is looking like the best team in the AFC right now. And the Houston Texans, well, they're going to be picking top 3 for sure. Dolphins in a blowout, easily lock of the week. Then we got the Chicago Bears heading over to MetLife to play the Jets. So the Bears will be going to MetLife twice this year to play both New York City teams. The Bears, I don't know what the deal is with them. They can put up points on the board. They can score some points on offense. Their offense is much improved. Justin Fields is playing real good football, but their defense has let them down. And that was what kept the Bears alive for the past 3-4 years, is their defense. And you can tell that with Roquan Smith not being in Chicago anymore, it's just killing the Bears defense here. And that's why they're sitting at 3-7, 3-8, whatever their record is. I know they're last place in the NFC North. Chicago's just not playing good football, at least on the defensive side. New York Jets, they just cannot beat the Patriots. They just can't. 14 straight L's to them. Zach Wilson didn't play well. The whole Jets offense was just real bad in that one. They averaged less than a yard per possession against the Patriots. I mean, the Jets were out there going like, damn, is Matt Canada our offensive coordinator? You know? Jets were just miserable against New England's defense all afternoon. And certainly with them having to go up against a resurgent Chicago Bears offense, I think they're going to have a big test going for them here, to say the least. Maybe the Jets just got off to a hot start. Maybe they're starting to dwindle down a little bit. I don't know what the story is with the Jets, but their playoff hopes took a big hit this Sunday. It really did. Their playoff hopes are hanging by a thread right now. Like they went from being in the playoff race to now going down in the hunt. They went from being one of the wild cards to now in the hunt. They now need Cincinnati to start losing some games, and the Jets need to start getting back on track. And, you know, it's not going to be easy going up against a team like the Chicago Bears. I mean, they had Atlanta on the ropes, and they just let them off the hook, to quote Dennis Green. But, yeah, man, Bears are just a very incomplete team. Incompleteness doesn't win you in this league. The Jets, if they can knock off a team like the Buffalo Bills, then I really do think they can give the Bears a run for their money, and they can cool down their offense a little bit. Because I really do like what Robert Saleh is doing over in New York. I mean, yeah, they're 6-4, but let me be honest with you, the Jets wouldn't have won any of these games in recent years. So a little bit of a close call for me to decide, but I'm going to go with the New York Jets to get the job done over the Bears here. I just think the Jets are just a little bit more complete than Chicago is, and I just think that the Jets defense is going to step up in this one. I just don't fully trust the Bears. I mean, the Bears, they let the Falcons score over 20 points against them. I think they can allow this Jets team to score over 20. Give me the Jets to get the job done over the Bears. Then we got the Atlanta Falcons heading on down to our nation's capital in D.C. as the Falcons take on the Commanders. As Atlanta, as I just mentioned, 27-24, they get the job done over the Chicago Bears. Atlanta is now 5-5, still in good position to win that absolute joke of a division in the NFC South, as the Falcons just continue to remain competitive. Meanwhile, the Washington Commanders, all of a sudden, the Commanders are starting to put their names on the map. They are 6-5. Last place in the NFC East, sure, but they're 6-5, and they're still very much alive in the playoff hunt in the NFC. Who would think they'd be saying that about the Commanders? You know, Taylor Heineke really is the guy for Washington moving forward, and that win against Philly, it has boosted them greatly in terms of their confidence. And I know the Texans are the worst team in the league, but in order to remain live in a stacked division like the NFC East, you got to win games like that. And that's what the Commanders are doing. Ron Rivera's doing a real good job over there in D.C. Commanders are playing great football, and I think that they are a team that you should not sleep on at all. This could be a really interesting game, honestly. I mean, we all know Atlanta, with the surprise that they've been. They've been surprisingly competitive this year, and they have a chance to win the NFC South. I mean, this is a team that I thought would be the worst team in the league this year, but they have looked like anything but the worst team in the league. They have been really competitive in their games that they've had. And then, Washington, I mean, they got off to a really bad start on the year, but they have really turned their season around. Their run game is starting to get a little bit more of an identity. Defense is starting to match up, and their offense is clicking right now. So a close one again for me to decide, but I am going to go with Washington in this one. Biggest X factor, Commanders offense against Atlanta's pass defense. I do not trust Atlanta's pass defense at all, and I think Taylor Heineke is going to feast on some leftover turkey from Thanksgiving against these birds. I'm going to go with the Commanders to get the job done over the Falcons. Well, 7 years ago, this was a Super Bowl matchup between the Denver Broncos and the Carolina Panthers. 7 years later, it's a toilet bowl matchup, as the Broncos are 3-7, whatever their record is. I don't care what their record is. They just suck. They lose in overtime to Las Vegas. You lost in overtime to a team who can't hang on to a 17-point lead, and you lost to a team who lost to Jeff Saturday. That's the Denver Broncos for you. They can't win against their own division. Denver is 2-12 against the AFC West since the beginning of 2020. I actually looked that up because I'm like, the Broncos have just been terrible against their division. What's their record against the division? I actually looked it up. They're 2-12 against the AFC West since the beginning of 2020. They've gotten swept by the Raiders for the last 3 seasons. They've gotten swept by Kansas City every year since 2016. And they're struggling now to beat the LA Chargers. Denver used to own the AFC West. Now the AFC West owns them. How the tables have turned. And the Broncos are just a real bad team. And so are the Carolina Panthers. But I got to say this about the Panthers. They somehow find talent in a guy in P.J. Walker, and he's actually being kind of okay for the Panthers. They're running the ball efficiently with that Foreman guy, I think his name is. They're running the ball efficiently with him. And the Panthers, I mean, their defense can be kind of good at times, actually. This was a team that's supposed to be on a fire sale this year, and they're finding some kind of ways to win some games. So, I just think that with Denver, the way their offense is just so stagnant and so stale and just, trapped in, quicksand, going up against a young Panthers defense like that, I honestly think I am going to go with the Carolina Panthers here. I don't know who they're going to start at quarterback. I don't know what the situation is fully with it. But I trust Carolina more than I trust Denver right now. If they can lose like that to the Raiders, then there's not a doubt in my mind that they can lose in a way to the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers to get the job done over the Broncos here. Then we got the Baltimore Ravens and the Jacksonville Jaguars down in Jacksonville. The Ravens coming off a 13-3 win over the Panthers. And the Jags are coming off their bye week. The whole state of Florida had their bye week. I'm sensing a trap game right here for some reason. I really am. I'm sensing a trap game for the Ravens. Because Ronnie Staley got injured. We don't know the story with him. That's a big blow to the Ravens' offensive line right there. And if they could struggle like that against a young Carolina team with a defense they're trying to make a name with, Jacksonville has had their moments this year on defense. The Jags defense is a work in progress as well, and they're high on a lot of these kids that they have playing down there on defense in Jacksonville. As far as their offense goes, it looks like that they're also high on some of the talent that they have down there as well. But again, it's just a work in progress. Perhaps next year we can see Jacksonville be a better team, but they're always more. If anything has shown me, if there's anything that has shown me something with Jacksonville this year, they are capable of being competitive in a game this year. They have been competitive in every single one of their games this year. So, part of me wants to say, yeah, the Jags are just due for a real bad game, and, the Ravens are leading the AFC North. But at the same time, it's like Baltimore really isn't playing all that great. I know that they have injuries too, but they're really not playing all that great. You got Lamar Jackson back, so there's really no excuse for it. That's why I'm sensing a trap for this one. Ravens have a real bad tendency to play in Jacksonville. I think they've only beaten the Jags 3 times total ever in Jacksonville. Ravens do not have a good history of playing the Jags in Jacksonville. So that's why I'm sensing a trap game right here. But in the end, I think the Ravens avoid it, and I think they get the job done over the Jags. I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens to get the job done over Jacksonville. Then we got the later slate of games. We got the Los Angeles Chargers at the Arizona Cardinals down in Glendale, as the Chargers, another heartbreaking vintage Chargers loss at the hands of the Kansas City Chiefs at home. They had the lead on them for like a minute. Then Patrick Mahomes does what Patrick Mahomes does best, which is, show his clutchness, show that he plays with ice in his veins, gets a touchdown right back, and then Herbert throws another interception. That's why I keep saying Justin Herbert's not, a clutch quarterback. Justin Herbert just doesn't have it. If you need a big drive, or you need a touchdown to win the game, or you need a big drive to stop a game, or to wrap it up for the Chargers, I don't trust it with Justin Herbert. I really don't. That's my verdict with him. And I gave this team way too much credit at the beginning of the year. This is Kansas City's division. It really is. And the Chargers, they're just not a clutch team. Arizona Cardinals, they're just a terrible team. Blown out in New Mexico by the 49ers, 38-10. Cardinals are just a train wreck. They have been a mess ever since that 7-0 start. Cliff Kingsbury, that guy should just stay in Mexico. I don't know why that guy still has a job. He should really just stay in Mexico. They got good tacos down there. As that was actually one of the calls that Colt McCoy made during the game. He actually called out taco under center. But Arizona, they're just not a good team. So common sense would say Chargers should win big here, but honestly, I think LA gets the win, but I think Arizona will make it close just because, again, I don't trust the Chargers when it comes to clutch moments. I don't trust them when you need them to come through at a big moment. But I do think the Chargers get the job done here just because the Cardinals are just a mess right now. So yeah, give me LA to win this one. Then we got the Las Vegas Raiders heading on up to Seattle to play the Seahawks, as the Raiders an overtime win against the Broncos. Denver fails to cover Devontae Adams for some reason, and it's a walk-off touchdown against them, a long walk-off touchdown against Denver. And the Raiders complete the sweep of the Broncos once again. Raiders are still 3-7. They are just not a good team at all. I'm not impressed with that win by Vegas. They still suck. Meanwhile, the Seahawks coming off their bye, I believe, as the last time they played, they were in Germany against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So they better have had their bye week because that's inexcusable to fly, 10,000 miles overseas from Seattle to Germany, fly back to Seattle, and then play a game. So they better have had their bye week. I think they did, but they better have. Anyway, I digress. Now the Seahawks are back home to play the Las Vegas Raiders, a team that I think Seattle should have no problem with when it comes to offense versus defense. Seattle's offense can put up a lot of points. They run the ball very efficiently, and Geno Smith is playing great football right now. I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks to get the job done over the Raiders here. Like I said, I just disrespect Vegas. The Raiders are just a real bad team. They can't hold on to a lead. They're an unclutched team. Josh McDaniels is a terrible head coach. And like Nathaniel Hackett and Cliff Kingsbury, I don't know. I just don't know how he still has a job. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks to get the job done here over the Las Vegas Raiders. 4 years ago, these two teams met, and it was one of the wildest Monday night games you'll ever see. One of the wildest games you'll ever see. 54-51 on that Monday night game as the Rams defeated the Kansas City Chiefs. 4 years later, the Chiefs are still a powerhouse, and the Rams are looking like the worst defending champions I've ever seen, sitting at 3-7. So the storyline for this one, Matthew Stafford got injured in that game against the New Orleans Saints, and he is being tested for concussion protocol. Regardless, the Rams are done. You may as well stick a fork in them and call them lamb chops. The Rams are done. How you can be this talented with all those players that you have and be this bad, it just shows that they are just fully loaded, piss drunk from the Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl, but what it cost them? Everything. And the Rams season is just broken beyond repair. I don't see how they come back from this. You know, Kansas City Chiefs clicking on all cylinders. Offensive powerhouse, 8-2. They have this division won. I mean, you may as well just clinch the AFC West for Kansas City again. There's no way they're going to squander this. The Chiefs are just the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is just the best quarterback in the league, in my opinion. And he has to be in the MVP talks. I mean, in my opinion, he should win MVP. You know, he really should. I was saying Tua should win MVP, which I still think he has a legit shot at winning MVP, but I think Patrick Mahomes became the favorite right after that comeback that he conducted against the Chargers. You know, LA marches down the field and scores a touchdown to take the lead in the fourth quarter. What does Mahomes do? Finds his security blanket in Travis Kelce, finds his favorite target in Travis Kelce, and Travis Kelce once again does it to the Chargers. Chiefs get the dub. They're 8-2. And, yeah, Kansas, I mean, what else is there to say about the Chiefs? They are just a really good team. They're the best team in the AFC, in my opinion. It's between them and Miami, but I really, you can't go wrong with either team, man. You really can't. So at least one of these teams is still playing great, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs. And honestly, seeing that the Chiefs are favored by 14.5 over the Rams in this one was close to being my lock of the week too. However, I came to a compromise with myself. Texans, Dolphins will be my lock of the week. But this will be my spread of the week. But I got Kansas City winning absolutely big here. You know, that offense is just invincible. That offense is just lights out. And the Rams defense, I don't think they stand a lick of a chance here. They're not going to put up any points offensively. I'll be very shocked if they do. And knowing how much of an offensive guru Andy Reid is, I think Kansas City is going to remember that 54-51 game, and they're going to be like, wow, these guys stink now. Let's take it to them. Let's kick them while they're down. You know, that's what the Chiefs are going to do. Kansas City blows out the Rams here. This game won't be close. Kansas City blows them out here 42-10. Chiefs all day over the Rams. Then we got the New Orleans Saints and the San Francisco 49ers. And this one 3 years ago was a phenomenal game at the Superdome, if you remember. 49ers beat them 48-46 in a phenomenal game in the Superdome 3 years ago. Now, 3 years later, again, at least one of these teams are still playing good. 49ers are 6-4. They blew out the Cardinals on Monday Night Football in New Mexico, 38-10. Jimmy G tossed 4 touchdown passes, and George Kittle. You know, Travis Kelce's great, but, you know, don't count out George Kittle. I think he's right behind him, man. George Kittle's a great tight end, too. You know, 49ers defense played incredibly well against the Cardinals. I mean, I know Arizona was starting their backup quarterback, but still, 49ers defense played incredibly well, and they're 6-4. 49ers are still undefeated in the division. They have not lost a division game. New Orleans Saints are anything but great. I mean, I know they got the job done over the Rams, but Saints are just not a good team. They're kind of going through the same thing that we're going through with, you know, losing the Hall of Fame franchise quarterback, and it's been a tough transition for them as well. Andy Dalton, while he did play well against the Rams, let's face it, he's a journeyman, and he's just not going to win you consistently amount of games. So, 49ers, their defense looks sharp. New Orleans Saints offense is the complete opposite of it, in my opinion. I like the 49ers in this one. I'm going to go San Francisco to get the job done easily over the Saints here. Give me the 49ers. Sunday Night Football in Philadelphia. Check your local listings as the Green Bay Packers head on to Philly to take on the Eagles, as the Packers got blown out at home by the Tennessee Titans, 27-17. Aaron Rodgers once again played miserable. He had a real bad game. Packers in general just had a bad game, could not do anything. Their defense got beat up all night by King Henry and company, as the Packers now sit at 4-7, if I'm not mistaken. I still think they have not had their bye. They're one of the last teams to have their bye week. But yeah, the point is Green Bay is just not a good team at all. Philadelphia Eagles, 9-1 on the year. What happened in Indianapolis? I know the Eagles got the job done over the Colts, but what happened? They were trailing them the entire game, and they needed a touchdown run by Jalen Hurts to win the game. Their rush defense is terrible. Jonathan Taylor was gashing them left and right the entire first half. Granted, Philly did buckle down a little bit, but still. I'm telling you, if I was an Eagle fan, I would be very concerned about this team right now. This, to me, you cannot sit down and tell me with a straight face that this is a Super Bowl team. You can't. They can't stop the run. I know that their pass defense is among the best in the league, but there are times where it shows a little bit of vulnerability. And if they can't stop the run, and they can't consistently find ways to stuff it, they're now going up against A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones, who have been the only signs of offense for Green Bay this year. They've been the anchors. So I think that's the only thing that Green Bay has going for them in this game, if they're to have any chance. Yeah, you know, like I said, the Eagles, we all know that Jalen Hurts likes to run the ball. He likes the RPOs. A.J. Brown is a phenomenal receiver. But yeah, man, I don't know. The Eagles are 9-1. But honestly, it's a pretty hollow 9-1. You know, like, I think they're going to struggle a little bit with the Giants. I think they're going to struggle a little bit. I know they're going to struggle with Dallas. I mean, I know they played Washington twice already. But the Eagles got some tough games coming up. They really do. They got some tough games coming up, and honestly, they could start taking a couple more losses. But for this one, I think they'll be okay. I think they'll get the job done over Green Bay. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has just had his worst season of his career. And with Philly's pass defense here, I think they're going to be able to have a relatively good night against the Packers. I think that the Packers, like I said, they need to run the ball, but it won't make much of a difference. I'm going to go with Philly to get the job done over Green Bay here. Thank God this is a Monday night game, because I got some things to say. and I'll cover more of it in my preview. We got my matchup to round out Week 12 on Monday Night Football between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Indianapolis Colts. Y'all know the story with us. 3-7, last place in the AFC North. An absolutely pathetic display of a second half against the Bengals. One of the worst second halves I've ever seen. Can't stress it enough. One of the worst second halves I've ever seen. Completely stopping your game plan. Completely ignoring what you need to do. Trying to get cute. Being conservative. Soft zone defense. Everything, drop passes. Terrible penalties. Everything that went wrong for us in the second half, imaginable, went wrong. And that's why we're sitting at 3-7. Kenny Pickett played, in my opinion, pretty good. Probably the best game that he's had so far. But still, there were times where he was kind of forcing passes a little bit. I know it's a rookie mistake, but again, how many times am I going to say that? It all goes back to our offensive coordinator. Matt Canada, I'm at my wit's end for this guy. And Mike Tomlin's supposed to be the head coach of this team. Why, if he continues to call all the shots on defense, does he not have Terrell Edmonds playing in the box more? Why? I just don't understand it. So those are my biggest gripes with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're not a good team, and it's everybody on the team. Everybody with a couple exceptions. George Pickens is playing great. Highsmith is playing great. Najee Harris had a good game against the Bengals, but he's still very Jekyll and Hyde. TJ Watt, obviously, the life and soul of this team right now. I'm telling you, if we did not have TJ Watt on this roster, we'd probably be 1-9. That's how bad this team is. But, I digress. We're 3-7. The Colts are 4-6-1, if I'm not mistaken. 4-6-1. I don't know what their record is. That's stupid. They got to get rid of ties. I'm sorry. I hate that. But anyway, Colts are under 500. I think if we are to have any shot at winning this game at all, again, I'm going to cover more of this in my preview. Got to be able to stop Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is the life of this Colts team, and without him, Indianapolis would be absolutely nothing. Colts are a mess at quarterback as well. I mean, this is a battle of two franchises that are just completely lost when it comes to quarterbacks. And they have potential with running backs. I mean, the only difference is Jonathan Taylor has shown that he is way more of an established running back than Najee Harris is. Jonathan Taylor has that explosion factor. Jonathan Taylor can get downhill quicker. Najee Harris needs to take time doing it, and I don't know how many more times I'm going to have to say it with him for that. Jaylen Warren should be our RB1. He really should. I will stand by that until I see massive improvement from Najee Harris. I will continue to say that. So, I mean, this game's going to have to be won on the ground with us. All there is to it. Because the Colts do have a little bit of a stingy defense. They can cause some turnovers. They can limit you. And with Kenny Pickett going up against that defense there, I think, he can't be playing he can't be forcing passes. I think he has to, once again, he has to take his time. He just has to study the field more, and he just needs to be careful out there. Limit every single mistake that he can. He didn't throw a pick against the Bengals, so that's a good sign right there, but still. This is just not a good team going up against another team that's not good. I know we own the Colts all time. I know we do. The Colts have not beaten us since the year we won the Super Bowl, all the way back in 2008, when they still had Peyton Manning at QB. I understand that. But I don't care about history in this one. If we're talking about where these teams are right now, the Colts are just the better team. Okay? They really are. They have a better defense than us, better run game than us. It's about even. I'd say we have the advantage over receivers. It's about even when it comes to the quarterback situation because both teams are just a mess when it comes to the quarterbacks. And honestly, I think Indy one-ups us when it comes to coaching. Jeff Saturday's only coached 2 games, and I can honestly say he's doing better than Mike Tomlin's done this whole season. I really am. I really do say it. You can tell these players want to play for Jeff Saturday and they want to get him some wins. So there you go. I got to go Indianapolis on this one. I don't see how we win. I really don't. I might not even pick us for the rest of the season. Like I said, there are at most 2 more games that I think we can win. But that's about it. I just think that Indy's defense is a mismatch for Kenny Pickett here. I just think that our defense, our rush defense with being inconsistent going up against Jonathan Taylor, that's another real big mismatch there. I think this is a bad matchup for us. I think Indy snaps their losing streak against us here, and I think they get the job done. Although I will say the Steelers do have a good track record of playing on Monday Night Football, but they have a better track record of playing home Monday Night Football games than we do road Monday Night Football games. I got to go Indianapolis here. Give me the Colts to beat the Steelers. But of course, I'll be rooting for them at work while I'm listening to the game. But I think the Colts win it. That'll do it. Those are my Week 12 picks. I did not know I was talking for that long. 56 minutes, man. All of you guys, I wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. Eat lots of turkey. Stuff yourselves. Enjoy your time with your family. And fall asleep on the couch watching football like I usually do. But yeah, with all sincerity, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Have a blessed holiday. And this is Steel Sermon checking on out for the night. Happy Thanksgiving, all. May God bless.